What it do, H-Town? I'm Nick Stevenson, the president of Houston Sports.
It's your boy, Ruben Calvillo, H-Town to it, John. What's going on, gentlemen? This is the Twin Toros podcast.
Let's get it. All right, Ruben. First of all, once again, congratulations. Our first ESPN video was very much a success. I thought it went very well. But just like the Texans, man, we got to watch the game tape. So I went back and I reviewed it, tried to find the places that I could improve. I got to tell you, man, just like always, you killed it, bro. Per
you
usual,
well, man. You're
like the vet in this game. I'm not going to lie. I watched the tape back, and if there's one thing I could criticize myself on, I use the word filler, man, way too many times. And you know this, man. So I'm going to make sure that I keep an eye on that. We keep improving and we keep growing this thing, man. But I want to thank all of you guys so much who have been tuning into the Twin Toros podcast. I want to remind all of the subscribers to the 713 Houston Sports YouTube channel. Don't forget to go check out our ESPN videos as well, man. We are heavily dependent on you guys to keep that thing going. We're hoping that if we can grow that thing and keep ESPN's attention, just maybe we might be able to grab some credentials, my friend. And then I'm telling you, bro, it's that would be a game changer, because what that means for you as the viewer is just even more access that you have to your Houston Texans. So hopefully we will keep it going. And thanks to you guys, we're off to a good start. Absolutely. All right, Ruben, have you washed off that Vikings game yet?
Oh, yeah, man. I've been ready for this game, since we got that ass whooping by Minnesota. It's a tough one, but like Dalton Schultz said when he was talking to Landry Auger, I was looking at a film on Monday. So I'm ready to move on, man. The beauty about week 3 is that there's a week 4.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, just like we watched the game tape, hopefully the Texans watched some game tape and then afterward immediately burned it. Well, I guess they can't burn it. I guess you got to do a permanent delete. I'm old, bro. So in the old day, we used to have actual film. But the Texans were their own last enemies last week, man. We said it. 23 penalties, 203 yards in the last 2 games. I watched Bobby Slowick talk to the press yesterday, and it was interesting, man. He was asked about how offenses just across the board in the NFL right now seem to be not ahead of the defenses. I believe since 1993, this is the fewest passing yards per game across the NFL ever since 1993. When he was asked about it, he said, if I'm being blunt, when I watch our film, the offense just needs to play better. He said the amount of plays where everyone was doing what they are supposed to do is probably could be counted on one hand. Now, when he was asked why that was, he said, I always start with myself. What did we go in with? The plan, was it too much mentally? Was it too mentally taxing for everyone to keep organized? So I thought he did a good job of holding himself accountable while still holding the players accountable. I said last week, man, players play.
Yep.
I can't tell you how Bobby Slowick is doing when the players are not executing his game plan. What are your thoughts?
I think this is the get-right game. We have yet to see this big offensive explosion. And here's the thing. I feel like a lot of people, Nick, are okay with just beating Indianapolis, okay with just beating the Chicago Bears. No, when you see all the offseason move this Houston Texans did, everything invested, you're expecting this to be one of the most dangerous passing attacks in the NFL. This was the hype all offseason, and we haven't seen it yet. If we don't see it this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are absolutely horrible, we're going to have some conversations. I do like that Bobby Slowick said, yes, it has to start with me. Of course, you're the one calling plays. I feel like this is a whole get-right thing for the entire offense. You heard D'Amico Ryans talk about the offensive line as well, talk about the pre-snap penalties have been addressed. So I'm excited for this Houston Texans to come out in this week 4 game. I like that we're taking accountability. We took the L. We got beat. Time to move on.
10-4. I agree with you 100%. Let me ask you, Ruben, since we were talking about having credentials, if you were in that press conference and you were talking to Bobby Slowick, what would Mr. 713, what was the one question you would want to ask Bobby Slowick?
Well, my first question would have been, why is Cade Stover, being left, guarded one-on-one John Gennard, and John Gennard is going to win that battle 9 times out of 10. I think that was a question that Landry Locker is going to ask him pretty soon when they meet. But yeah, that would have been my first one.
I believe he asked that in the press conference yesterday. It sounded like Landry. I believe he did ask him that.
Another one would be, with all the weapons that we have, why is it so hard to get a consistent passing game going? And I like that we're being this critical, Nick, and I like that a lot of Houston Texans fans are, because when you have these playoff aspirations, when you have these playoff goals, right, you need to be critical in these moments. So I like that the fan base is expecting a product where, it's some of the best football that they see, and right now we have it.
Yeah, it's a shift in the mentality for sure.
For sure.
Last year, just winning close games.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to be here, winning close games, getting the division win. But like we said last week, man, that's not the standard anymore. Yeah. Now, keep in mind, the Texans cannot operate based on what our expectations of them are. But given, like you said last week, the moves that they've made, they should have a higher expectation for themselves as well. I think that they do. Like you said, I like that Bobby Slowick took some accountability, but I like that he also called out these players. He said the amount of plays where everybody did what they were supposed to do, you could count on one hand. He didn't mention any names, which is probably smart, but he's definitely saying, you guys got to step it up. And like you said, I think this is the right game for that. I just watched the thrashing that the Jaguars took at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. You would probably agree offensively, the Texans at minimum have just as good of offensive weapons as the Bills, correct?
The weapons, yes. Josh Allen is just a freak in his own, and he is proving all doubters wrong. I don't need a Stephon Diggs. I can do this by myself. Now, they also have, young running back James Cook looking fantastic. Shout out to him. But, as far as the weapons, if you would have gave Josh Allen, Nico, Tank, and, Stephon and Joe Mixon, that might be a better Buffalo Bills team. But talent-wise, we have enough talent, but that quarterback, Josh Allen, is different.
Yeah, for sure. But what I noticed that Josh Allen is doing now, something that the Houston Texans did a lot last year and need to do better this year, is he spread that thing around. They hung 34 points up at the half. I think it was 5 touchdowns from 5 different guys, bro. So
in 5 times, like 5 touchdowns in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. So that tells me that this defense is definitely vulnerable. You can look at it one of 2 ways. Either the Jags are vulnerable because it's falling apart over there, man. I don't know if Doug Peterson, we'll talk about it later, I don't know how much longer he's going to be the head coach. But you can look at it one of 2 ways. Either they're falling apart and you take advantage of them while they're vulnerable, or they're due. Because the Jacksonville Jaguars have not won a game since November of last year, bro, against the Panthers, excuse me.
No, us. The last time the Jags won a game, it was here in Houston.
No, they did beat the Panthers the week 17. That's the last time they won a game. Yeah, I got this. I got it right here. I know that narrative is going across the internet, but people are.
Or is that just Trevor Lawrence as starting quarterback?
That might be, yeah. Trevor Lawrence is starter, because I don't think he started the game versus the Panthers, to be honest with you, because I know he was dealing with some injuries.
Nice.
But yeah, and maybe we just don't count the Panthers as an NFL team at this point, so that might be the case too. But yeah, they're definitely due, but man, I don't know about you, but when I watch the Jags, I see their body language is bad. You see Trevor Lawrence, like, he's not able to hide his frustration with the offense. They're making plenty of mistakes. Their last 3 weeks have looked like the Texans game versus the Vikings. Tell me what you think the keys to beating the Jags is going to be, and do you see this as maybe a trap game for the Texans?
I definitely do think it is a trap game, and I do have some concerns going in. I want to see how this Houston Texans bounce back after a loss like this, right? Because it's not like the losses against the Panthers and Falcons last year where, where like your offense just kidded going, right? All these, everything that happened in Minnesota was self-inflicted, right? You talk about the 5 touchdowns that the Jags allowed. Well, we had 5 pre-snap penalties in a row.
Yeah.
But, one of the keys to the game is keeping CJ Stroud upright. He was pressured on 44% of his dropbacks last week. Now, the Jags, they have some edge rushers, right? They have Josh Hines Allen, they have Trayvon Walker, the number 1 overall pick. They picked up Arik Armstead in the offseason. They made a lot of moves. They also have Darnell Savage in their secondary as well. The fact of the matter is, right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is just not good right now. They're allowing everything on the ground. They're allowing everything through the air. In that Monday night game, it was you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown. Whoever wants a touchdown could get one. However, this is a division game. And what's tricky about division games is, sometimes they're a lot closer than expected.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, it's going to be what are Laremy Tunsil and Titus Howard going to do? How are they going to respond after their performance against the Minnesota Vikings? Because it wasn't just Laremy Tunsil who was bad. The entire offensive line was bad and has been bad. Yeah. So keeping CJ Stroud from getting touched, he's been sacked at least 3 times in each of these 3 games. It looks like there is no Joe Mixon, so it might be Cam Akers out there again. We need to create some running lanes for him. The offensive line is huge here, man. Jacksonville cannot come in and try to take over your offensive game plan. They're going to come in desperate. If the Jacksonville Jaguars lose this game, we might not see a Doug Peterson. You already have people talking about, the contract extension that Trevor Lawrence got. A lot of things can go south for Jacksonville if they do lose this game. It's just going to be important for the Houston Texans to bounce back from a horrible win and put the nail in the coffin with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The offensive line is key here, Nick.
Yeah. And honestly, man, I think that's who Bobby Slowick was calling out when he said you can count on your hand the times that everybody did what they were supposed to do. He was talking about the offensive line. And D'Amico Ryan said it himself too. He said, man, if we can, when you're playing the Texans versus the Texans and the Vikings versus the Texans, there's no scenario where you can win. So if we stop having to battle ourselves and actually focus on our opponent, then we feel like we have a pretty good opportunity. There were some big plays that got erased in that Vikings game because of penalties, self-inflicted wounds. So I think there is an opportunity in this game. When I watch that Monday night game, here's the first key that I noticed. In that first drive for the Buffalo Bills, they were doing quick and decisive plays. Not any long, drawn-out routes. They were quick hitters. And when your offensive line is struggling to protect, I think the Texans would be smart to take advantage of that. Try to get some quick hitting plays. Get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. I don't know if Tank Dell is going to play this game. I know he's not been participating in practice. I'm not specifically sure what that injury is. When I checked the injury list, it didn't mention what it was. And like you said, we're not going to have Joe Mixon. Dameon Pierce is still out. But Cam Akers can be a playmaker as well. There's still plenty of playmakers on this team if this team can execute. And then once this team is executing the offense, if it's still not sufficient, then we can point the finger at Bobby Slowick and say, hey, man, you need to be more creative with your play calling because this just isn't working. But yeah, that's the first thing I noticed about Buffalo is they were doing quick, decisive plays, and especially in that first drive. Mistake-free, penalty-free football. I don't know what they had to do in practice this week, but Bobby Slowick also mentioned in this press conference that pre-snap penalties is something they've been dealing with since camp. That's a little bit concerning because you've had
knowing Laremy Tunsil didn't practice at all, and we could go on and on with that, dude.
For sure. But like you said, this week they have an opportunity to get right. It's a home game. They shouldn't have to worry about crowd noise. Hopefully the Houston Texans will follow CJ Stroud's advice and make sure that while they're trying to operate and run on offense and communicate, keep the noise level down. And then, of course, when on defense, that place needs to be loud. It needs to be able to rattle this Jaguars team who seems like, man, they're on the verge of collapse. And obviously protect the ball and field position. We talked about it last week. The Vikings didn't gain that many yards, but every time they got the ball, they were damn near at the 50-yard line or in the red zone already because of the inefficiency of the offense and the turnovers. So those are my keys to the game. We just need this dub, Ruben. we need
a convincing dub, right? If the Texans come out here and handle business like we both think they're going to do, we are going to feel confident walking in, against the Buffalo Bills next week.
Yeah,
You
yeah, for
barely
sure.
scrape by, or Lord forbid, knock on wood, you lose this game. We're gonna feel a hell of a lot worse about
Yeah,
this Houston Texans team. And then knowing we got the Buffalo Bills coming in week 5. This is a very important game. This is
yeah,
the get right game.
for sure.
And you could definitely start clicking after you destroy the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? It's like what Adam Sandler said in The Sandlot, right? This is a tune-up game.
Yeah,
And the Houston Texans, man, this is their tune-up game for their offense, man. The Jags are that bad after their owner said in the offseason, this is the most talented Jaguars team he's ever seen.
right. And you know what? I mean, you look at them on paper, and they do have a lot of talent on this team.
They do. Like, I looked at all their offseason acquisitions, and, they brought in Darnell Savage. They brought in Gabe Davis. They brought in Arik Armstead. They gave Trevor Lawrence that big contract extension. They did their job in terms of bringing in, like, weapons on both sides of the ball. The only thing is it's not clicking.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of Jacksonville's fans are ready to blow it up. Get rid of the GM, get rid of Doug Peterson. I mean, they're stuck with Trevor Lawrence after that contract extension that they just gave him. A lot of stuff is going on right now with Jacksonville, man.
So for all the reasons that you're stating, obviously I want the Texans to win convincingly, but like you said, division games, different. This is a must-win game for Jacksonville.
Must win.
For Jacksonville especially, though. The Texans, 2-2 is not ideal, but that doesn't bury you. The Jacksonville Jaguars go 0-4. Doug Peterson's probably fired. But tell me what you think about Trevor Lawrence, man, this far into his career, because we've all seen the memes. The dude is essentially Daniel Jones, I'm sorry, of the New York Giants. I don't know what to make of him, man. And I honestly, of all the things that scare me about this game, Trevor Lawrence is the least of them.
Yeah, man. If you remember coming out of college, this was a generational quarterback, right? This
Allegedly.
was the next Peyton Manning. And we have not yet to see that. Is he a good quarterback? Yes. Has he shown some things? Yes. But he has digressed, I would say, the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, guys, they had first place of the division pretty much until the last 8 weeks of the season. That's when the Houston Texans started winning. The Indianapolis Colts started winning. And towards week 18, we had a 3-way tie for first place, and we had to win it at Indianapolis in the Stroud House on Saturday night. Since then, it just hasn't been what you expected from the Jaguars. And you look at the quarterback, and all right, yes, I'll give you Urban Meyer. That was a horrible situation in itself.
Yeah.
But now we've been seasons removed from that.
Yeah.
If you are this generational quarterback, and we have put all these weapons around you, remember last year they had Calvin Ridley also. So they've given him weapons. It just hasn't planned out to, this is maybe not a generational quarterback. This is maybe not a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah. He looks the part.
I mean, size wise, body wise, you're like, this is the perfect quarterback.
Yeah, he looks good on the cover of ESPN magazine, or I'm showing my age again.
To it, you got to win football games.
Yeah.
And Trevor Lawrence, man, it's just not working right now in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And after the contract, right, Jacksonville was so excited, and how quickly has that excitement died down? Now people are wondering how they could get out of this Trevor Lawrence contract.
AFC South war zone has been fun.
It's been fun, man. But you know what? This is why I just stopped. Like, they're so much worried about the Houston Texans instead of their 0-3 team. And I'm just like, man, you probably think that this chat is all you have. And you probably show this to your friends, to your family, and say, look at what I'm a part of, and look at how much reactions I get.
Right.
Like, it's sickening. It's like, that's just a loser mentality, bro. Me to talk mess about a team that has 2 dubs, and I have yet to smell a victory since last year.
For sure. All right, man, let's swing it back to the Houston Texans.
Let's do it.
Give me your list of players that need to step up in this game.
Your big acquisition of the offseason, baby, Stephon Diggs. Let's see that Stephon Diggs game in Houston. He had 90 yards last week against Minnesota. There may not be no Tank, Nico Collins. It looks like he's banged up, had a hamstring yesterday, was not practicing yesterday, did practice today, so that's good. But let's see the Stephon Diggs and CJ Stroud connection take over NRG. We would be so excited After the game, we see Stephon Diggs having a fantastic outcome. Who else?
Laramie Tunsil. I'll say it for you.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk. I had my own little segment I want to talk about him, but I guess we could talk about it now. What are your legit expectations, Nick? Because one false start, the crowd is going insane. The crowd is going to boo him like never before. And I'm like, okay, how many of those are gonna happen until it's like getting bad? That's what I'm saying, dude. This game is so important. You're at home. You shouldn't be false starting. They see one false start. Oh, it's going to be pandemonium in the crowd. And the thing is, bro, this is what we're talking about. We're not talking about him, being an elite pass blocker like he is. We're not talking about him being a very good run blocker. If you look at PFF, he's grading well in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
But right now he's leading the league in penalties.
Yeah.
And I think the record is 19, which he has back in 2019. So he's on pace to shatter the record, Nick, for pre-snap penalties, for penalties as a whole. I don't know what the crowd reaction is going to be like if he gets a pre-snap penalty or a penalty at all in that game against, the Jags. So I just want to see a clean football game. But I'll take a false start. I'll take one. But I don't know if the crowd could take it. I don't know if he could take it.
Yeah. And I saw the video you made about should he be benched. I think that's probably going a little too far. And I don't know if you think he should be benched or not.
No. So in the video, I said, I don't think he needs to be benched because of what he can do in terms of pass block. He's elite. Could shut down Myles Garrett. Could shut down Michael Parsons. He's a good run blocker as well.
Yeah, so Ruben,
penalties are going to kill you, though.
This is what I'm concerned about, though.
Go ahead.
Do you think Laramie Tunsil believes that the trade-off, because he's so good at those things, and I watched a video from John Granado and Lance Zierlein a couple days ago. They were basically asking the question, is Laramie Tunsil selfish? Is he trying to get an early start so that he doesn't get beat, so that he has those good PFF numbers? And does he believe that a few false starts in a game are worth the trade-off of his ability to pass block, his ability to run block? Obviously, most of the false starts are going to be in passing situations because he's trying to get an advantage on the pass rusher. That's my only concern. Do you believe it's a good trade-off?
I'm a gambling man. I'm gonna say yes.
So you'll take the penalties if it means he avoids getting beat.
Because this is a consistent thing. It's not like this is the first year of false starts from Laramie Tunsil. Mm-hmm. It's been this way since Deshaun Watson was our quarterback. So if he's going to give me 7 false starts a game, but I know during Myles Garrett, I know when Michael Parsons, I know when TJ Watt's here, I'm not going to get touched. I'm going to have to take that, bro, because what I don't know is who else could play left tackle for the Houston Texans. Is it Blake Fisher, who you just drafted out of Notre Dame in the second round? Yeah. Not yet. We would be worried every single week with Blake Fisher there at left tackle, which is why I said you do not bench Laramie Tunsil. Now you have a Stern talking to him, or you do like a little under the table. Every false start you get, we're gonna find you. We're gonna slap you in the back of the head in practice.
Yeah,
but I am taking the false starts because of how great he is in pass blocking, and he knows how great he is too.
Yeah, for sure.
There's just some people who are great at what they do and can give no effort and still be the best of the best, and that's Laramie.
Yeah,
I don't think like.
So let's split the difference then.
Go ahead.
We'll give you the false starts, Laramie. You've got to line up in the right position, because the thing with the illegal formation or the illegal formation penalties is they'll let you snap the ball before you count it. And the problem with that is every time he got one of those, it negated some excellent plays by the offense. That one throw from CJ to Tank where he zipped it across the field and got a 10, 12-yard gain, that was an amazing throw. Immediately wiped off the board because of a pre-snap penalty. So let's split the difference. We'll give you, I mean, I don't want 6.
I said 1.5, right? That needs to be his line. That he needs a Vegas line, bro. That's how for sure. That's how consistent he has been. I'll give you 1.5. Yeah. I'll give you one. I'll give you one false start, Laramie. But I don't think the crowd is gonna take kindly to hearing False start, number 78 offense,
Not at all.
5-yard penalty, repeat the down.
Yeah, especially like you said in a home game. So, yeah, Laramie Tunsil, I need him to step up. Man, give me your level of satisfaction with the defense after 3 weeks, because we talked about it last week. I wanted to be critical of the defense at the time because you look at the scoreboard, you see 34 points are up there, but once you watch the game again, the offense put them in such terrible positions. I say, considering that, the defense was pretty good.
Yeah, I've been pleased with the defense, and they did, their own damage last week against Minnesota. I think they pressured Sam Darnold 50% of his drop back. So we have Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, I think, leading the NFL in terms of pass rush win rate. These guys are doing their job, and every week one of these defensive tackles is going to get a sack. Mario Edwards Jr. has 2. Tim Settle Jr. has 2. Lorenzo Fatukasi has 1. I think the defense is doing their job. They're getting home to the quarterback. I am pleased with them so far.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of critique. Fans are going to be fans. I literally saw some dude post on my social media that the Texans should trade Kamari Lassiter. And I was like, wait a minute, bro. Come on.
On Facebook, man. This is why you got to stay away from those old heads, dude.
Listen, everybody was mad that Justin Jefferson was pretty much allowed to roam free.
Yes.
But I think the thinking was, like you said, I think D'Amico knew our front seven's going to win. We're going to get to the quarterback. So let him run free. We're going to get to the quarterback before the quarterback can get him the ball.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it didn't always work out that way, but we talked about it. Justin Jefferson, yeah, he had a decent little game. He scored a touchdown when somehow Murray ended up guarding him one-on-one. I don't know how that happened, but once again, we talked about execution. But he had less than 90 yards, so that's not the reason you lost this game. Mm-hmm. And I think the defense is doing their job. At this point, I think the microscope is squarely on this offense. 100%. You acquired all of these players, and I know Joe Mixon is hurt, but that's not going to be an excuse. We know Cam Akers can run the ball. Hopefully he can hang on to it. This is a game that if the Texans win, I'm afraid that fans are going to have the attitude of, that's what you should have done. We're not going to get too hype about it. And I guess it depends on how it looks. If they lose,
Nick, if they
it's gonna take some real. I don't know if I'm going to be able to step up and defend this team if they lose this game the way I did last week.
Like you heard Cody Stute say, if this team lose, the sky is falling. And it's hard not to agree with them. And I go back and I
wouldn't go that far, but I understand that's how the fans will take it.
Yeah, I understand why he said it, because right now we could all say this team cannot be the Kansas City Chiefs right now, the way they've been playing. No. You lose against Jacksonville, you're definitely saying this Houston Texans team cannot beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Now,
you're expecting a loss against the Bills if they lose this game at this point.
Exactly.
And you're thinking the Texans might go under 500 this season.
Exactly. And with all the hype coming into this season, you had a lot of fans saying, hey, we might be 4-0. We might be 5-0. Mm-hmm. And now the Texans, it's a trap game, dude. It's an important game. And Jacksonville is not just going to lie down. They're fighting for their season.
Mm-hmm. That's the question. That's what we're going to find out early. How much does this team want to fight for their coach? Because I think we both agree, if the Texans win this game, Doug Peterson's probably gone. If not this week, he's gone by middle of the season. So how much does Jacksonville want to fight for their coach? Mm-hmm. I think we'll find that out early. But it's just one of those games, man, where if you lose, nobody's going to want to hear the excuse of, oh, well, it was a must-win for Jacksonville. They were fighting for their playoff lives.
I don't want to hear that.
No, this is the moment where you, forgive the expression, but you kick them while they're down and you put them out of their misery and in their season.
Ain't nothing wrong with putting someone out of their misery if they're asking for it right now. And, dude, right now, they're asking for it. The Jags are asking for you to go in there, give them an L so they can restart this whole thing all over again.
Yeah, for sure, for
And
sure.
ooh, dude, I'm excited. I'm not gonna lie, I'm nervous, bro. I'm more nervous than when I was in,
It almost feels like a playoff game. It almost feels like a playoff game. It's crazy, man. In week 4. And that's why we love the NFL so much. You mentioned it last week.
Exactly.
There's only 18 weeks, man. These games are so important. It's
Dude,
the
we're
reason
already in week 4.
I know, and it's the reason that I accept more than any other sport, I accept Houston Texans fans overreacting to wins and losses because each game is so important. And that's why we love
82 games. It's not 165.
Yeah.
You only got 18 of these things.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, man. Let's get into it. Give me your score prediction. Houston Texans versus Jaguars.
Let me go.
I know you're predicting a dub for us.
So. I'm predicting a dub for the Houston Texans. Please, for the love of God. We need a W this week. Let's get back on track. I think this offense gets rolling. I think the offense goes through number 1, Stephon Diggs, and I think we come out of this game saying this is what we should have been seeing all year. I have the Houston Texans beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-13. I think this is going to be a good win for Houston, a game where we're going to come out of this ready for Buffalo. And, you know, you just broke one franchise in Jacksonville. Can't wait to break a couple more as we go on. 2-0 in the division is always fantastic. You win this game, you're 3-1, sole possession of the AFC South. Your probability of making the playoffs soars. Right now, I think the Houston Texans are at 77.7% to make the playoffs. It would have been 99 if they would have won last week against the Minnesota Vikings. Currently, right now on BetUS, they're favored by, I think, 5.5 points. So Vegas has the Houston Texans winning this game.
Yeah.
It's just, and here's what I'm excited about. This is going to be the first time we get to see a DeMeco Ryans team after a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because, you know, the Panthers lost, the Falcons lost. They were within 1 score.
Yeah,
you
CJ walked off the field with a lead.
34-7. How do you come out? How do you respond? And you can say the vice versa to, you know, Doug Peterson. How do those boys come on after just getting just mollywopped on Monday Night Football?
Yeah, for sure. Man, every time I've predicted that the Texans were going to score on the better side of 25, they haven't. So I'm hoping
I brought it down to 27. I had it at 30.
I'm hoping some reverse psychology. I'm gonna go 17-10, and hopefully, I'm gonna go 17-10. But hopefully,
it a dominant 17-10.
Yeah, man, I want to say a dominant 17-10. The offense is moving the ball, but we have 2 very proud defenses. I think, like you said, Jacksonville does have some playmakers on the other side of that ball. They are fighting for their lives. So I don't know that it's going to be a blowout, but I'm going to say 17-10 Texans. And I hope that means they end up putting up 40. But let me go ahead and lock that in.
They put up 40, how happy we're going to be.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you what, Ruben, let's give away some free swag. I want to ask everybody who's watching this video, put your score predictions in the comments, in the live chat. If you accurately predict the score of the Texans versus Jaguars, we're going to send you a Twin Toros podcast t-shirt.
Oh, shit.
Hell, maybe we'll send you 2. We need to get them out there, man. Let's get the word out about this podcast. I'm so excited about this game, man. It's
Are you going?
I will not be at this game.
Is your brother going to be there?
I don't know if my brother, he actually raffled off his tickets to this game. So I think he's going to be chilling at the house. I don't know if he's going to go to the tailgate. I know you're going to be there representing Twin Toros podcast for sure. Man, I got to get you some t-shirts to hand out the next time. I'm going to make sure I get us a bunch because we got to get the word out about this podcast. And once again, I want to remind all of you, man, thank you so much for tuning in, for watching, for supporting this podcast. Don't forget to go check out our videos every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. We drop an ESPN Houston video. That's going to be our reaction videos to every game this season. And then your preview games will be right here on 713 Houston Sports with your boy, Mr. 713. Speaking of which, you guys remember to follow Mr. 713 on all of his social medias on X, IG, TikTok, 713 Houston Sports. I will have his link tree in the description. And then you can follow me, please, at Houston Sports State of the Union podcast. I cover all things Houston sports as your self-appointed president of Houston Sports. Next week, I have a really cool interview coming up with Mirren Fader. She's from The Ringer, and she's going to talk about her new book, Dream, The Life and Legacy of Hakeem Olajuwon. I was honored to get an early copy of that book. I've had my head in it for the last 2 days. It's a great book, man. I can't wait to interview her. So I got some really cool stuff going on Houston Sports State of the Union. I will put the link to the to all of my socials and all the places that you can consume that podcast in the description as well. Anything you want to add before we get out of here, man? I did the man.
I'm
I didn't do it that much though. I said man a lot.
Let me know if you guys are gonna go at the game, so we can link up at the tailgate. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the beauty of football. We get to see this Houston Texans team go to war week in and week out. We expect nothing from the best from this team. The same way you expect nothing but the best from this Twin Toros podcast. Thank you all for watching this episode. It means the absolute world to us, man. And hey, we'll see you Monday.
Absolutely, man. In the meantime, y'all stay 10 toes down for the H. We love you. Good night.